Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the meeting for Wednesday, June the 6th, 2018. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest regarding the items on today's open agenda? Councillor Bulmer?
No.
Councillor Roth?
No.
Councillor Spoulis?
No.
Neither do I. I have a motion moved by Councillor Spoulis and seconded by Councillor Roth. The council receives the A, confidential report, PD 2018-05, regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board with respect to an appeal to the comprehensive zoning bylaw, and that staff proceeds as directed. B, a confidential verbal report from Karen Landry, CAO Clerk, regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose with respect to an application for judicial review, Swastika Trail. C, confidential verbal report from Karen Landry, CAO Clerk, regarding personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees, and litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, 104 and 123 Cooks Mill Road. D, confidential verbal report from Karen Landry, CAO Clerk, regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose with respect to the Normal Farm Practices Board hearing, Mark Reed, and that staff proceeds as directed. And E, confidential verbal report from Karen Landry, CAO Clerk, regarding litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality or local board, and advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose with respect to the matter before the OMB, the University of Guelph, Dufferin Aggregates zoning bylaw appeal, and that staff proceeds as directed. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay, the minutes. A motion moved by Councillor Roth and seconded by Councillor Spoulis that the minutes of the following meetings be adopted as written and distributed. Council meeting, May 16th, 2018. Any discussion on that? All those in favor? That's carried. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Okay, a couple of announcements here. The Fox Run Park Open House, that the open house will be on June 18th at 6:30 p.m. at the Puss Community Center. We've got a public open house on the proposed changes to the vacant unit tax rebate program and vacant and excess land property tax subclass reductions. And that open house will be on June 20th at 6:30 at the Puss Community Center. That'll just be before our next council meeting. Communications. Municipal Water and Sewage Services Feasibility Study, correspondence from Neil and Joanne McLean, dated May 11th, 2018. Review of activities over the last year, correspondence from the Puss Historical Society, dated April 17th. A minor site plan amendment, license 5482, the Glen Christie Company, part lots 1, 2, and 3, concession 4. Correspondence is from the Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry, dated April 13th.
Just want to comment on that if I could. I think this is, if I understand this correctly, this is the former Dome Tar quarry across the other side of the river, accessed from Highway 24?
Actually, I'm not sure whether it's that or it's the one just across from the end of Laird Road and down along that way.
Right, okay.
I didn't see a map there, and I didn't
Yeah.
go onto the online map to see which one it was. I think that the Domtar one on the other side of the road already has buildings on it.
I'm not
Are
sure.
you thinking the part that's east of Side Road 10?
A part that's west of Roswell Road. There used to be a
Oh,
bridge.
way
Used to be
down
a
that
bridge,
far.
Yeah. Concession 4, part, and this is lots 1 and 2.
Bring out the map if you want, of where 5482 is located.
Karen,
We could-
the map is in your box from the ministry. It's attached to the communications.
Oh, is it? Because we have a little piece of the township that's the other side of the river there, and I wonder if this was it.
Right.
Site location.
And that was referred to as Glen Christie over there.
Or one between Fairbanks.
Sorry for all the confusion.
Yeah, so it's north of Roswell Road and west of Wellington Road 32 on this side of the river.
Okay,
Yeah, as I said, where the extension of Laird Road would have gone across down there.
okay.
There were some chicken barns down there once upon a time.
Behind the old Cox Pit, there was a Cox Pit down there too, at one time.
For me, if it was Cox.
Yep. And rest in sand and gravel.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much.
The Wellington Common Elements Condo Corporation, number 214, formerly known as Mini Lakes, their annual communal water system report, correspondence from MF Property Management from March 8th, and the review of the Mini Lakes communal water report by GM Blue Pan. Anything on that? The 2017 groundwater monitoring report from Capital Paving on their Wellington pit, just down the road from what we were just talking about. Yes, Councilor Spillis?
Just a comment. I'm glad to see in the report that they're coordinating their precipitation data with Nestle's.
And the 2017 groundwater monitoring summary for the CBM Nybauer pit.
A question on that. I noticed that the report here is not as thorough as the other two reports, and there was a summer report. I was wondering if there was a detailed report submitted to us.
What is on your agenda is what we received. Certainly, I can follow up with them.
So they haven't actually, well, they've sort of started extraction now. They've moved some of the fill back, but this was sort of preliminary work of groundwater monitoring before extraction.
Yeah, and normally you would see a more extensive report at this stage of the game.
I'm going to ask maybe.
I can inquire.
The 2017 groundwater monitoring report for CBM Puslinch pit, license 17600. Yes.
Likewise, similar comment. Glad to see they're using the same precipitation data as Nestle's.
Okay. And item number 8, declare Maltby Secondary Plan Master Environmental Servicing Plan Phase 2 report, correspondence from the city of Guelph regarding that.
Councillor Spillis had comments you'd like to make on that.
Yeah, I read the report, and it's the verbal part of the report with respect to the intersection of Maltby and Gordon shows that, describes that there's going to be a soft transition between our rural part and going into a high-density area, so they have a sort of a buffer zone and a medium and going to the high. But if you look at the drawing that depicts the various densities, it shows a hard transition right at that same intersection. And my concern is you got two documents. One says we're going to do it by policy, and the other one says, well, this is what we want to do. And I'd like to see a consistent approach there. 10 years from now, people are just going to go with the whatever is most amenable to whatever they want to do there.
Okay. So you recall when we were at the city of Guelph at City Hall there, at that meeting they had, we brought that issue up there, and they referred us to one of their concept drawings that looked at the sort of soft transition and did talk about it at that point. So you want something a little more detailed on record, is that what you're looking for?
I'm looking at the recommended plan does not show a transition. Okay, it shows a solid brown blob that shows a hard start right at Maltby and Gordon. So what my motion recognizes the fact that the verbal verbiage is great, but the plan is inconsistent with the verbal verbiage, and I'd like to see something marrying the two.
Okay, so what we have here is a motion, and I'll read it out, and then we'll have some further discussion on it, okay, Council? So we have a motion moved by Councillor Spoulis and seconded by Councillor Routh. Whereas the Council for the Township of Puslinch is in receipt of the Clare Maltby Secondary Plan and Master Environmental Servicing Plan and the Phase 2 report and recommended preferred community structure plan. Whereas Council is generally in support of the following statement contained within the staff report ID 2018.77, Gateway and Urban Rural Transition. The entrance to the city at Gordon and Maltby is to be distinguished by a green gateway that highlights the entrance to the city. An urban rural transition area has been included along the Maltby edge of the secondary plan area where it borders the Township of Puslinch. Generally, this area will include low-rise built form that will allow for transition to higher built form as we move north from Maltby Road. The transition requirements are intended to be developed through policy requirements rather than a separate land use designation. And whereas ATT-1, Recommended Preferred Community Structure, May 24, 2018, identifies an urban-rural transition zone along the Maltby Road border of the Township of Puslinch, which not only includes low and medium-density residential land uses, but also includes an area of high-density residential land use. And whereas council is of the opinion that high-density residential development proposed immediately north of Maltby Road along Gordon Street, as illustrated in the Recommended Preferred Community Structure, is not an appropriate land use transition between the two municipalities. Therefore, be it resolved that the township requests that the transition from low density to high density be clearly distinguished by the land use designations on the plan in addition to a separate policy, and that the high density residential land use category, beige color north of Maltby Road with the Gordon Street corridor, be removed and replaced with the medium and low density residential land use category, yellow color, and that the gateway and urban rural transition zone dashed purple line remain. So anything else you want to add to that?
No, I just want to thank staff for helping put this motion together.
Okay. Councillor Roth.
I agree.
Councillor Bowman.
Sounds great. I mean, we just want to extend what we have along Maltby all the way to Gordon, not stop short of Gordon. So I think that's achieves that.
Yeah. So, I appreciate it, Councillor Spoulis, with the effort you've put into this. We did discuss it when we were with them, and I think actually having a little more detailed record of what we're actually looking for is beneficial.
Yep.
Okay. All those in favor? That's carried. Okay. All right. So we're just going to do something a little different here. So this part of the meeting's a little bit different, and so as many of you may know, June is Seniors Month. And municipalities are asked to select a senior that's made significant contributions to their community and identify them as being the senior of the month for that community. So it gives me, I'd like Marjorie Clark to come down, please. Good to see you again, Marjorie.
Yes.
It gives me great pleasure to announce this recognition of Marjorie Clark as our Senior of the Year. Marjorie is a renowned local historian that has worked diligently to preserve the history of Puslinch. She continues to publish books and articles in local newspapers and online media. Marjorie and her brother John have also made many donations to the archives in Apoyne, including toys, dolls, clothes, baby shoes, comic collection figurines from Saladity. In fact, a number of her donations have found a place in the warden's office at the Wellington County Administration Center, as Marjorie got to see a few months back. She's a member of the Wellington County and Puslinch Historical Societies, where she works with others to preserve and make accessible the history of this area. And of course, there is the Clarks of Tomfab website, a very detailed account of our past. Marjorie lives east of Aberfoyle in Corwin, and she just recently authored an interesting story about how that area was named. And also, there seemed to be some distinction related to the Earl of Corwin. Marjorie was here some years ago, 6 years ago actually, almost to the day, where she received the Diamond Jubilee Medal in this very chamber. Marjorie, I'm thrilled that you're here today to help recognize you as the Senior of our Year for Puslinch. I have this that's signed by the Minister of Seniors Affairs, the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario, and myself. Congratulations. Turn around and we've got the microphone on here. So.
Okay. I've been very blessed to live in Puslinch, where my family have lived since 1833. And I'd like to share this award with my brother, John R., because he researches and he's my tech support. And he frees me up in many ways to research and write. Thank you all very much.
Oh, it's our pleasure, Marjorie. Thank you.
She seems really young for this award.
Hey, thanks. So, Cheryl's going to come up further, so
Really
it's
stretching the definition of a senior.
great. And now we're going to recess council for a few minutes. We're going to go into our meeting room over here where we have some refreshments to help celebrate the event. Okay?
It's a new meeting room.
Yes, in our new meeting room. Let's see our new meeting room.